Let's talk a little business. Quick reminder, you don't need to agree with me. This is my experience and my opinion. I'm going to give you a story that defined value for me, some thoughts for you to chew on as a full-time editor, and lastly, I'm going to throw you a few resources that I hope will give you some confidence as you make your next move. For real estate clients, it's anywhere from $30 to $80. And one day, I know I'll be able to charge $3,000 for a reel or a short or a Snapchat story. I'm sure even more if I stay in the game. So in our past videos, I've told people to charge at least $20 to $30 per reel or clip. That might be significant now, but realistically in 10 years with the inflation, $20 to $30 isn't going to be worth as much. Now, this might sound a little silly, but I need everyone watching this video to make an effort to respect themselves. I'm serious. I do not care if you started last week or 10 years ago. You chose this profession for a reason. I bet at some level it was to make a difference. Whether in your own life or someone else's, that's the beauty of this industry in my opinion. Media is loud and more powerful than ever. So some of you have heard this story, but it's an important lesson that I learned about my value. I had a client that wanted to start a podcast. He's had one in the past, but couldn't keep it going, so he called us to help him. He thought the podcast would help him get the word out for what he was trying to promote, but as we asked more questions and dug pretty deep, we realized a short, maybe 30-second video was all he actually needed. So in those questions, we found that he had a Facebook group since 2013 with over 3,000 followers. So note that. And he had close to 6,000 email contacts from his past and current clients. He's been in business for a very long time. And I want you to reread that. So we're looking at the numbers of 3,000 and 6,000. We don't know if all those contacts or followers are really active, but we do know that those are numbers that you can't really ignore. There is a good chance he isn't utilizing this resource that he already has. And to give you a little bit more context, he ran a gym and sold sport training services, trained the conditioning for student athletes and adult programs to shed that stubborn body fat. He needed to sell programs, not start a long-form show to tell stories to sell programs. His program was $500. He needed at least 10 students to make the student-athlete class and 4 adults to make the weight loss class, but he did have 34 spots open. So 20 student spots and 14 adults. So the low end, we're looking at $7,000, and on the high end, we're looking at $17,000. Keep that in mind. So with the information, we pitched him to make this video instead and release it on Facebook and to all of his contacts as an email. So we made a 30-second video with B-roll stock footage from Storyblocks, dipped to white transitions, automated captions, a voiceover for our client, and some royalty-free music. That might sound like a lot to someone that hasn't edited before, which is good, but as an editor, you have the experience, you've spent the time, and you have the knowledge on how to pull a 30-second video off. It's not a complicated edit. In fact, the timeline looked like this. So question to you, what should I have charged? We needed to fill these spots. Here are the numbers again. Products, $500, minimum 10 students, 20 max, 4 minimum for the adults, 14 max. On the minimum, we're looking at 7K. At the max, we're looking at 17K. Guys, what do I charge? It's only 30 seconds. I think this is a good strategy on what we have to work with, right? Well, I'll tell you what we charged. We charged $275 for a 30-second clip. Now, you might not think that's not too bad. Some of you might even think we're ripping off our client. Within 48 hours, our client sold out. That's right. $17,000 was generated from one video, one email, and one post. We felt like the dumbest geniuses in the world. Now, this was a unique situation. My theory is my client did not utilize his email at all prior to us formulating the video with a mass email. I think the video may have just been an added bonus of professionalism to an email blast. You see, this is how most creatives view their work. They rationalize an alternative as the reason for their client's success. The fact was, we listened to our client, we proposed a solution, and got them the best possible result given the circumstance. This is more than editing, guys. It's more than a clip. It's more than a dollar amount. It's about value. Do not discount or write yourself off. Value your work and your experience. And if you're wondering what I would have charged in that scenario today, it would be closer to like $2,000 to $3,000, maybe even more if I was feeling real confident that day. A channel that has helped me with conversations with clients and figuring out how to price my services is The Future with Chris Do. One of the tactics I've picked up is anchoring with a large number and performance. The way you get there is by asking a lot of questions. Let's be super broad about this. If you're in sales, generally you will earn somewhere around 20 to 30% commission. But in my story, I charged less than 2%. I would have realistically done this today. I'd offer a guarantee to raise the stakes. I'd make the video with a timeline attached to it, something like we are going to have 4 emails on this month at this time, something that we can measure from. And part of that guarantee is if we underperform, the video is free. If we fill both those classes, it's $1,000. If we max it out, it's $3,400. And then I'm sure my client would want to negotiate, and then we could take it from there. But it's already now an elevated conversation and an elevated scenario. And if this was an ongoing program, I could have put in place a commission rate or some sort of percentage of each sale if he kept using the same video over a period of time to book up his classes. This is actually a similar scenario that Chris talks about in this video. It's definitely worth watching. For future transactions, till this day, my offer is always evolving as I level up my skills and my business, and that framework for creating offers in general has come from the man himself, Alex Hormozi. If you haven't listened or read $100 Million Offers, I highly recommend it, and I linked a podcast that I listened to for weeks to force me to put out video content, and a third video that is jam-packed with a ton of value for any person in business. He did that recently. So by now, you all have enough context to see that I probably didn't even need to make a video. I might have had a similar result with a pretty looking graphic, but I like video editing more than graphic design, so I made a video. But again, the fact was we listened to our client, proposed a solution, and got them the best possible result given the circumstance. But I had this mindset that I should get paid $20 or $30 an hour or $40 to $50 an hour as an editor. And in this scenario, I was like, oh wow, this is such an easy edit. Let me charge like 5 times that and with a little cushion on top. It's only going to take an hour. And yes, that happened, but $1,000 could have been way more impactful and done a lot of good for my business, and so could have $3,000. And in this scenario, that would have made perfect sense for my client to spend money like that, especially if I had a guarantee attaching saying if it flops, there's no risk. He doesn't have to pay. And you would be surprised how often scenarios like this come up. In your next conversation with a client, ask questions, be engaged. You'll be surprised what you'll find. Check out the links below. Thank you all for supporting us. We'll see you soon.